We're talking trade rumors on today's edition of Bengals Breakdown. Before we get there, do you think the Bengals will make any trade this offseason? Player for player, player for picks, picks for player, picks for picks. Any trade from now until the start of the regular season? Will the Bengals make one? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Go vote in the comments right now. Video title said Blockbuster, and we're starting with one. It's Aaron Donald to the Bengals. We're back on this one again. Bleacher Report looking at 5 trades that could help stop the Chiefs dynasty, and they went with Aaron Donald to the Bengals. First off, nice to be included in those of things that could stop the Chiefs dynasty. Cincinnati, it's a far cry from what it was pre-Joe Burrow for the most part there. Here is the trade package pitched by Bleacher Report. Cincinnati ends up with defensive tackle Aaron Donald. The Rams get a first-round pick, that'd be number 18 overall, and the Bengals' third-round pick. And that is one heck of an all-in move, isn't it? I mean, you're talking about being very aggressive, trading away 2 premium draft picks for one of the best defensive players of his generation, a future first-ballot Hall of Famer, in an attempt to win right now. Unlike the way the Bengals typically operate. Donald's numbers did go down this year, only 8 sacks. He still had 16 TFLs. He's still the all-pro caliber player he normally is. After an injury-dampened 2022 season, the numbers haven't been as good as his 2021-2020 campaign. But if I told you, hey, your first-round pick gets you 16 TFLs and 8 sacks, probably intrigued by that. Now, you'd also have to figure out the contract stuff here. Donald doesn't have that much left on his deal. And you wonder if it's 1, maybe 2 more years left in the tank for him before he retires. And it's tough to see any team, especially Cincinnati, saying, we'll trade you our first-round pick for a year or 2 of one player. It's not how the Bengals tend to do business. But adding Donald would be a massive impact for you, hypothetically. We'll see what happens with DJ Reader. But that is as great as Geno Atkins was. And I'll always love him. Boy, Donald would be the best defensive tackle maybe the Bengals ever had. Sorry, Tim Crumry. Like that's such a good impact there. If you're only focused on trying to win now, fixing maybe your biggest need with a Hall of Fame player is a heck of a way of going about it. The big issue I have with the feasibility, the Rams are a playoff team. They are close. They think they're not that far away. Now, if they had been terrible this year, I think a Donald trade could have been more in the cards. But, being a playoff team and thinking you're in the midst of being able to make a run, I'd be pretty shocked if they even consider trading away Aaron Donald. But in the hypothetical fun land scenario that exists right now, would you trade for Aaron Donald? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on this video. If the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk Tee Higgins here. The expectation, again, per The Athletic, which we've talked about before, is the Bengals are going to at least franchise tag Tee Higgins. Now, that has not stopped other fan bases, namely the Titans, from wanting him. But it's always funny to me because I get a good feel for just overall general fandom of we knew the Bengals are going to tag Higgins. That was made pretty clear when Burrow made the comments, and I trust Paul Denner a lot there with his reporting. But other fans are like, whoa, they're going to tag him. I'm like, well, yeah, guys. Happens with all the top free agents, the month of late January, early February is what if we signed that guy? And I'm always like, guys, they're going to tag him. He's not going to reach the open market. Jerry Steen's not going to reach the open market. Chris Jones might. Higgins won't either. Now, I will say, as we'll get into here, FanSided actually put together some decent trade packages. Oftentimes, you see really bad ideas like, we'll give you our garbage for your third-round pick. No, we're not doing that. There are some benefits, by the way, to a tag and trade that make this at least a worthwhile conversation here on today's show. Some of the pros, right? You generate more cap space. You free up, in theory, $20 million you were going to give Higgins on the tag to spend elsewhere. You can sign 2 free agents. You get more draft picks, or at least 1 more draft pick. The issue is some of that cap space and the draft picks that you got go immediately to a wide receiver. And there is the added element of the unknown. We know Tee Higgins works with this Bengals organization with Joe Burrow. We don't know how the draft picks will work, how the free agent will work. You saw it with Jesse Bates, right? Didn't work out that great for the Bengals this past season. We'll look at the trade packages here from Bleacher Report, but we are trying to get to 400 subs this month. We're trending somewhat in the right direction, but we are a little bit behind. Can we get there? Hit that sub button for more free Bengals YouTube videos right now. All right, I would say borderline blockbuster packages here from Fansided for Tee Higgins. Titans get Higgins at a 6th. The Bengals get DeAndre Hopkins, a 2, a 7, and a 4th next year. So, practically speaking, we'll just cross off the 6 and the 7. Hopkins, a 2 and a 4, future 4, is pretty intriguing. Hopkins was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, 14.1 yards per catch. He kind of had a better season than 2022 with Arizona, but the Titans get younger, and they swap out some of the money they're going to give Hopkins to Higgins there. It's intriguing, and again, I'll give Fansided credit. Normally these packages are like, we'll give you a 3 or just a 2 for Higgins. They're going above and beyond in the trade packages, relative to what I would normally expect to see. I'll give them credit on that front. The downside is adding a veteran in Hopkins, getting a 2 basically and a future 4. Maybe you're just better off rolling with Tee Higgins. But it is a semi-viable offer at least. Now, speaking of the current duo, Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow, the NFL Jam Bengals-themed t-shirt is available. I love this one. We're going to keep telling you guys about it until they're sold out of stock. Go to chatsports.com/BengalsJam and get yours today. That's the Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, Fanatics Bengals Jam t-shirt. Link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, this one's more unique. The Bengals get the number 7 overall pick, a 4th-round pick. Tennessee, meanwhile, gets Tee Higgins and the 18th overall pick. So it's kind of the inverse. You guys remember the Cordy Glenn trade when the Bengals got him and moved down in round 1? Tennessee slides out of the top 10, go to pick number 18. They can still get an offensive tackle in some capacity there. The Bengals, though, at number 7, obviously you're losing Higgins, but there's a chance you could get Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze there. There's a chance that you could fill out your receiving core elsewhere, and you get any defensive player you want. You get Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu. That's intriguing. And to put it up in perspective a little bit here, that difference in the picks versus what Higgins is, the rough trade value there is a late first rounder. And in general, that's about the value that these fan-sided packages put together. And I think that's pretty fair. Late 1, early 2, given the fact that Tennessee or a new team has to then, pay Tee Higgins, I think is pretty fair value, all things considered. It's why Carolina has been such a great fit, right? Because they got picked number 33 overall. So what would you guys do with Tee Higgins if you ran the Bengals? T, if you trade him. Obviously, it's a tag and trade scenario, but T, if you trade him. S, if you'd sign him. Or F, if you would just franchise tag him. You don't want to pay him long term, but you want him for 1 more year. Maybe your plan is to just do the Jesse Bates thing again and tag for a year, let him walk in free agency next year. Sound off in the comments. The number 3rd trade idea, I think I dislike the least of the bunch. You're getting a 2nd-round pick, just like you did last time in the DeAndre Hopkins package. You're getting Treylon Burks as well. The Titans then get a 6th-round pick and Tee Higgins. So the difference is here between trade 3 and trade 1, different player, and you're not getting a future 4th and a 7th-round pick back, which means fan-sided valuing Burks more than Hopkins. I don't know if I agree with that. And I liked Burks coming out. There were some red flags, and those red flags have been materialized. He hasn't been very productive. And that's an issue for me. Burks is a bigger body. I think he might be operating his best out of the slot at times. Maybe that could still make some sense. But the issue I have here is I can trust Hopkins to be a starting wide receiver for me from day 1 and make an impact. I genuinely don't know if I can trust that for Burks right now. He's a little slow to get going in Tennessee. It'll be the same thing there. So, but overall, look, again, I'll give Fansided credit because there are a lot of times I come on here and go like, these guys are stupid. They're idiots. What are you talking about? You didn't do your basic research. I thought they actually did a pretty good job overall. In fact, maybe that first one is a little bit rich even from like a more realistic trade package. One more note on Higgins before we sign off here. I would keep an eye on to see when the franchise tag is applied. The window opens on next Tuesday, coming up in a couple of days. If the tag is applied immediately, that is often a sign, you saw it with Jarvis Landry years ago, hey, come trade for him. I don't think that would be the case, because normally what you want to do is you want to go through trying to get a long-term deal done, and then you apply the tag. That's what I think will happen. If it doesn't, they put that tag on right away, often a sign, a signal to teams of, hey, come call us, and we'll work out a trade. So keep an eye on that and see what happens on Tuesday, Wednesday, and in the early franchise tag window period.